talking about an extremely important topic. A lot of people aren't aware of how it may impact their lives, but that's osteoporosis. So who here has an idea of what osteoporosis is? Any family histories? Kind of? Do you have a family history?
Not in my family personally, no, but I know other people that have.
Okay, and so we tend to see when people become afraid, they think it's in their family, that they're destined to have it. And we're actually going to start by talking about a member of our family. So this is Diane. Everybody say hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Hi. This is my mother-in-law, Dr. Steve's mom. And this is a picture of her and our niece Brianna at my brother-in-law's wedding. They got married mid-September. And the reason I want you all to meet Diane is someone who has been diagnosed with osteoporosis. She got the diagnosis, how long ago would you say, Dr. Steve? A couple years ago. Actually, oh, no, I know how to figure this out. So Brianna is around 6 years old, this little girl in the picture. And when Brianna was born, Diane was diagnosed with osteoporosis. So she talked to us, she came to us and said, what nutritionally can I do? What physically can I do? We gave her some recommendations. And then she started providing child care for Brianna. And she would carry Brianna around. She was kind of a chunky baby and all of that. And after a few months of dietary changes, lifestyle changes, and carrying around this baby, Diane got rechecked and her bone density had improved. So recently, Diane was rechecked and her bone density has gone back down. And it was in part because of some lifestyle changes that she made and then reverted to some older habits. But a big part of it was she was no longer carrying around Brianna. So carrying that extra weight actually helped her improve her bone density. And that's something we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I also thought this was a really nice picture, and it was a really pretty day, so I want to share everybody my family. So when I talk about, some of the recommendations that I'm going to make to you, these are recommendations that I know work because I've seen them work firsthand in my own relatives. You never want to make your mother-in-law angry, so you never, you're always really nice and helpful to her. So, okay, so what is osteoporosis? So osteoporosis is actually loss of bone density. So I've got two pictures on here. This shows what normal bone should look like. Your bone exists in a matrix of calcium and bone tissue, and it's supposed to be this thick, dense material. So any bone, if you were to look at a cross-section of a bone, it's going to have this porous type appearance to it. In cases of osteopenia, which is a step before osteoporosis, and osteoporosis itself, you start to lose some of the matrix, so it appears much more porous than it would normally. So in order for osteoporosis or osteopenia even to be diagnosed by x-ray, do you have any idea how much bone loss needs to occur? Anybody heard about this?
40%?
I'm sorry?
Is it 40%?
It's actually more than that. We're looking at about half, about 50% or more, to be noticeable on x-ray. So this is an issue that can be sitting insidious inside someone's body, and they have no idea that it's there unless they're getting checked on a regular basis. But it's definitely something we want to be more aware of. It does affect more women than men. Men, it affects about 4% of men age 50 and over, and for women, right around the 20% mark.
How are you checked?
They do pinpoint scans of the femur and the ankle, and even an area in the wrist. These are areas that they have found lose bone density the quickest. So there's orthopedics that can do these scans. It's not something that we do, unfortunately, but it's definitely something that we recommend doing it. So it develops for different reasons. Does anyone have an idea of why you might develop osteoporosis?
It could be hereditary, right?
It could be hereditary. There is a family factor there. When we talk about someone who's most at risk for developing osteoporosis, they're female, they're over the age of 40, they are Caucasian in descent, there's a family history, and they're overweight. So those are the things that we can actually look at and say, this is someone who's more likely to develop osteoporosis later on than someone who else. Another quick test you can do, this is fun, everybody can do it yourself, is you take your hand and wrap it around your pinky, your pinky, if you can touch pinky to thumb, just like that, that's actually a positive. You are at a high risk of developing osteoporosis. So for me, I fall in that category. Haven't hit the age target yet, but I have a family history of it. I have the right skin color for it, and I guess the age thing is the only thing I'm really missing right now. But the good thing is I know how to prevent it, and so I'm not going to allow myself to develop it, because while there can be a family, when they look at it, they say it does run in families, but a lot of it can be lifestyle habits that we pick up from our family. So one thing we talk about is dietary. Absolutely, one of the number one reasons someone loses bone mass is because your diet doesn't replenish the calcium that your body needs. Our bones are mostly calcium. You need calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D to really create strong, healthy bones. So we tend to get away from calcium. Our diet is deficient in calcium overall. We don't get it the way we used to. Dairy is a really, really lousy source of calcium. You should be getting it from dark leafy green vegetables. That's the best place to get it from. With your magnesium that comes from dark leafy green vegetables as well. So really eat your greens, people.
Collards.
Collards, absolutely. Your kale, those types of things. That dark, rich green color is what we're looking for. Now, part of the reason we lose calcium is physically leached from our body if you drink anything that's acidic. So coffee and soda are the biggest offenders for this. And I know Dr. Steve talked about this in our last workshop. When you drink soda and it goes into your stomach, your body has to pull calcium so quickly out of your bones to keep you from burning a hole through your stomach. That's how acidic soda is. So soda, like Coke, can be used to clear rust off a bumper. There's great YouTube videos about that, and it really works. So just imagine, if you can put it on your car to shine the bumper, what is it doing to your insides? They've actually done studies on it. It physically turns your stomach black the second you drink it. And so your body wants to kind of create this basic pH of 7 all the time. So to do that, calcium is a more neutral substance, so it pulls it out of your bones as quickly as possible. So for women, Diet Coke is a huge, huge problem. I don't know why. The older we get, the more people want to drink it. I teach at the Beasley Center, the senior center, twice a month, and these women come to me, and they're in their 70s and their 80s, and they're like, oh yeah, I drink 4 or 5 Diet Cokes a day. I'm like, what are you doing? You're destroying your bodies. Not only is it linked, the soda is linked to osteoporosis, but the artificial sweeteners are linked to Alzheimer's. So it's like, what are you doing? You're just furthering this process. So I'm going to get off that soapbox real quick. But so our diet can cause that deficiency. If you are an adult, which thankfully all of you here today are, you need to be getting in your diet at least 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day. And you want to match that with your magnesium. So if your diet is lacking in that, you should be supplementing. Also, the kind of calcium that you put into your body makes a difference, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So our sedentary lifestyle. So when we, as a society, get more productive, we stop moving. And when you're sitting, your body will, again, your muscles are gonna shut down in a certain way, so your body will stop absorbing calcium because muscles also need calcium to contract. So your body will stop pulling in as much calcium. If that happens, again, you're gonna become calcium deficient. So then when you get up and you do start moving around, your body's gonna say, well, I didn't take it from the food that you had, so I'm gonna take it from the next viable source, which is your bones. So our sedentary lifestyle, not getting up and moving, will cause us to lose more calcium on a daily basis. Also, if you are taking away that weight bearing that we're designed to have, your bones weaken. We have this law that we all abide by. It's called Wolff's Law. And Wolff's Law states that a bone will be as strong as the amount of pressure put on it. So if you take pressure away, your body is very intelligent. It says, well, I don't need to be as strong because there's not as much pressure on me. So if you're not standing all the time, your hips will actually become weaker, which is why hips are one of the places that they check. Astronauts, believe this or not, I think it's actually kind of cool. Astronauts will develop osteoporosis while in space. And it's because they don't have that pressure of gravity pressing down on them. It's not the same, which is in part why they cannot stay up for more than a year at a time. They have to come back. They have to make trips back. Another fun fact about astronauts, and I didn't know this until recently, if they stay up in space, I think it's more than 2 years, might be a year and a half, they go blind because the optic nerve, there's something related to gravity and your eyesight. I just thought that was incredible. So when they come back on Earth, they have to wear special glasses. I realize this is a tangent, has nothing to do with osteoporosis, but my dentist's son-in-law is an astronaut, and he shared that with me, and I thought that was really interesting. So going in space, not so good for your health. We're meant to stay here. Okay. Medication. So different medications that we can take can actually leach bone from our body. There is one medication in particular that does this very, very well, and that's steroids. That anti-inflammatory, especially the concentrated. Has anyone here ever gotten a cortisone injection into a joint? So has your doctor ever told you there's a limited number of times they can actually do that? A responsible doctor will say that. The reason for that is the steroids go in and they destroy the matrix of the bone. And it will actually cause you to develop localized osteoporosis. So typically for a joint, 3 times at the max. After that, they won't do it again because if they continue to do it, the joint will break down at a faster rate and you'll have fractures and things like that, which is not ideal. And then age. So a lot of people think that this is a normal part of aging, especially for women. Like, oh, take your Centrum, is that the over-the-counter? I don't even know what it's called because I don't recommend it. Yeah, that Centrum Silver stuff, ooh, it'll protect your bones. Age has nothing to do with it. Because we live in a society where soda is so addictive and we have so many people drinking it, we're actually seeing it in women in their 20s and 30s. So this is becoming an epidemic, and we're seeing it more in men. That 4% that I quoted is actually from a few years ago. That's not a recent study. That was something posted by the CDC in the early 2000s. We're estimating that it is getting higher, and it's in part because people aren't moving as much, and they're taking in a lot of acidic foods, a lot of sugar that will cause your body to break down at a faster rate. Now on the side here, that does kind of show you the different steps. We have the normal healthy bone, you can see the matrix in there. With osteopenia, where the bone starts to have more hollow ways in there because your body is taking the calcium from it. And then that bottom part is actually a fracture caused by osteoporosis. Because basically the body gets to a point where it says, I can't support weight anymore, and it starts breaking. So the symptoms. Does anyone know what the main symptom is? That they know for sure that you probably have osteoporosis if you have this symptom? Take a guess.
When you're coding.
What was that?
Coding.
Hurting? Pain. Why would someone be in pain if they have osteoporosis? If you don't know, that's okay. I'm just messing with you guys now. I'm trying to wake you up. So the number one reason someone has pain when they have osteoporosis is they have broken bones. In many cases, if they're not doing screenings for it, this is how we found out someone has osteoporosis. And we find them on x-rays, we find broken vertebrae on x-rays all the time. And it happens just like this. So basically, over time, calcium is leached from the body. Magnesium is leached from the body because it's missing dietarily. We're putting stressors on our body that's causing your body to just say, oh, just take it all. So what happens is when you have your normal healthy vertebrae, you start losing all that healthy calcium on the inside, it collapses and it causes what we call hemivertebrae. And so you can see this diagram here, how it shows the woman initially standing upright and then they get hunched over, right? So this is someone whose vertebrae has physically collapsed because at this point the weight of gravity was even too much and the spine just became weak. So typically when someone has osteoporosis, they've gotten to the point of fracture, their body is just that weak, they will have spinal pain or they'll have pain elsewhere where the fractures do occur. So complications of osteoporosis. Loss of height. I find this interesting. People say we shrink as we get older, right? No. Megan gained 2.5 inches by working here. So that's just from, I mean, she doesn't have osteoporosis, but that's just from her getting adjusted to take the pressure off her discs. But we lose height because our vertebrae start collapsing. So you start to get this person who hunched over, and I know I have old women who come in and they're like, oh, I used to be 7 inches taller. And that's not normal. We're not meant to get that much shorter. Some height decrease is normal as your discs and your spine start to decussate or kind of break down at a certain point, but that should not happen for a long time. We have loss of vitality. Typically someone who fits into that category of developing osteoporosis, they're sedentary. So if you sit a lot, you're not going to have energy to do anything else. You have to keep your body moving. You also, if you're in pain all the time, you're probably not going to want to do anything anyway. So we have this loss of a desire to continue doing things that we enjoy. With increased medications. Now this is something that people need to be aware of because there's these medications that they like to recommend. If they're like, oh, you have osteoporosis or you have osteopenia or you're at risk for it, take this medication. I think, was it like OsteoBiflex or something like that? It was a couple of years ago. I don't have cable anymore, so I don't get to see the drug commercials. I'm not that upset by it, but there's 2 medications that they would recommend for osteoporosis. And they would say you have to take this medication for 2 to 4 years, and then you can get off it if your bone mass is improved. What we have found is that women and men who have taken this medication to improve their density. Now, we talked about that matrix, how the bone is laid down. It happens in a very, very specific way to make your bones as strong as possible. These medications make your bones lay down in a completely arbitrary, non-supportive way. So we're finding that people on these medications are still having the fractures associated with osteoporosis because the bones aren't any stronger with the medication. So I would recommend if anyone here is on those medications, talk to your doctor about it because the long-term research shows that they're actually more detrimental than they are beneficial.
I think you're talking about glucosamine.
I'm sorry?
Glucosamine is one of them.
Glucosamine is actually...
Enjoy
Glucosamine is actually good for you. It actually helps lubricate your joints. No, there's a prescription medication that they recommend that they say, you have to take it for 4 years to get the max benefit, blah, blah, blah. My mother-in-law, Diane, was on it. And we had the foresight to say, let's try some nutritional things instead. And so instead of her having to worry about having a broken bone because her bones were laid down in a weak way, she's actually got stronger bones for it. And then we actually have increased mortality. So when I say that, what does that mean? Do you understand that term?
More death.
It's actually more death.
Or more death.
So I know it sounds like, increased mortality, you should live longer, but actually you have an increased risk of dying with osteoporosis. And that is in part because of hip fractures. There's actually a very specific ratio of increased mortality with a hip fracture, which I'm sure you all have seen like the little ladies that come into our office. And if you hear Dr. Steve or I talk to them, we're always talking about balance. I always talk about balance exercises because we know their bones are weaker because they've done a lifetime of damage and we want to prevent them from falling. Do you know what the mortality risk is? Your risk of dying if you break a hip with osteoporosis?
Pretty high.
It's pretty high. Who wants to guess how high?
75.
75, that's pretty high. That's actually a pretty good guess. It's actually 90% in 2 years. If someone has osteoporosis and they fall and break a hip, their chance of dying in the next 2 years is 90%. That is insane to me. That's crazy. So this means this is something that's preventable because of these things we talk about, of the things we talk about that bring osteoporosis on, a lot of those can be changed. If you have a family history, look at what your family did. I know I can tell you my mom has osteopenia, so she's on that road. My mom's addicted to coffee. She's addicted to diet soda. She's addicted to sugar. So I look at that and I say, okay, well, I don't drink soda. Yeah, I don't say bye, mama. I say, wait till you move down here and I'm going to change her life dramatically. She just doesn't know it yet. So I gave up the soda and the sugar. But I do have a love of coffee, so I have to make sure that I'm balancing my body accordingly because I don't want to end up on that same route. So this is not a good number. I don't like this number at all. This is a dangerous number, and it always makes me worried when someone comes in and they said I had a recent fall and they're of an older age. I always worry about this because I know what that risk is. And if you know someone who's very fragile in their health and there's a chance they have osteoporosis or you know they do, this is something you need to be aware of because they need to take steps to be preventative of falls. We need to. Fall prevention is huge, especially with our older population. But there's good news. So, as with most things in our office, we want to provide hope as much as possible.
We get some questions in here on.
Yeah.
Because first I wanted you to talk on the coffee.
Yes.
Then I wanted you to talk on childbearing.
Okay.
Since it is women that are the highest risk for the osteo. And then talk about osteoarthritis.
Okay. All totally different things. So what we said first, the coffee. Coffee is extremely acidic. So that's why when you put it in your body, it doesn't take as much calcium to calm your body down, but it still takes an amount of calcium out of your body to slow down that acidic process. So calcium can be leached from your body by having a lot of coffee, which in part is why you see people drink a lot of coffee will have weak teeth. It's because it's sitting on your teeth. A couple days, okay. There's a lot of health benefits to coffee. It's the people who get the 6 to 8 pot of coffee and finish that for the morning. That's something I'm more concerned about.
I was there. Long time ago.
You were there, but you're not anymore, and that's good. So it's a chance to change things. So the childbearing, the whole women's issue. So how many people here have kids?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. So a fun thing about pregnancy is anytime a woman is expecting, so we can talk about Megan. If her baby needs a nutrient to develop and Megan is not getting that through her diet, where do you think the baby's going to get that nutrient from? From mom. So women will actually start losing their bone density during pregnancy if they're not getting enough calcium. So we see this a lot. Women in pregnancy will lose their teeth. Their teeth will actually fall out, and it's because the baby's taking the calcium from their bones. There are some hormonal things that do play a role in that, but it can be addressed by taking supplements.
I was just going to say, my mother had 8 kids. She smoked, drank coffee, and drank milk. And she was also, they yanked all her teeth out at 34.
Okay.
All those things. It's a true statement.
Okay. Yeah.
Health, lifestyle is
it's huge.
Definite.
It's huge, absolutely. And so chances are, especially with the 8 kids.
Kids developing inside you.
You gotta make sure you're getting the nutrients in there, absolutely, because the baby, well, and it didn't back then a lot of times, especially if you had a large family. I know I'm from an Irish Catholic family. My dad's one of 11 or 12. I can't keep track. How bad is that?
Would have been 10.
Would have been 10. So, right, and I think his would have been 14 or something like that. So someone, and my dad grew very, very poor. My grandmother, till the day she died, lived in a shack that my grandfather built with no indoor plumbing. We had to use the outhouse for family affairs. It was interesting. But she raised all her kids in that house, and she lived in that house until the day she passed away. And so, but the difference for her too is they had a huge garden, so she was able to get more nutrient-rich food than someone who's depending on canned food in the grocery store. So, answer all your questions, right? Childbearing. What's left?
Osteoarthritis.
Osteoarthritis is different than osteoporosis, and then osteoarthritis is the breakdown of a joint that's been misaligned for a long period of time. So when we talk about, I'll have an example to show you. Osteoarthritis is where the surfaces of the joints have been moving incorrectly for a long, long period of time, and that's when that starts to break down. So it's a very official name for long-term standing arthritis. So it's something that happened due to overuse versus osteopenia, which is bone loss. So I know there's a lot of osteo names. So the good news is osteoporosis and osteopenia can be reversed by addressing your diet. And supplements have a huge part to do with that. This is a bone complex that we have through standard process. It's the complex that we put my mother-in-law on, and she did it for 3 months and got retested, and her bone density had improved, which was really exciting to us. So when you're taking calcium supplements, you have to make sure you're taking the right form of calcium. A lot of doctors used to recommend Tums, says, oh, that's how you'll get your calcium in your diet, just take Tums. Tums is the wrong form of calcium. The calcium that you want in your diet should be calcium citrate or calcium lactate. Any other form of calcium does not give your body the right kind that it needs. The one that's in Tums is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate actually lowers your stomach pH, which is why it helps with heartburns and upset stomach. The problem with that is it lowers your stomach acidity to a point where you can no longer absorb calcium. So here these doctors are recommending, oh, take your Tums, get your calcium in, but the body can't absorb it at that point, so it's not making a difference. So reading your labels and making sure you're getting the correct form of calcium absolutely makes a huge difference. You also want to make sure that it's a high quality or high bioavailable form of calcium. The calcium that you get from Walmart and GNC, if it's store brand, that type of calcium actually is a byproduct of creating computer chips. So you want to make sure it's actually coming from a viable source that your body can use. We're not designed to run on computer chips, we are designed to run on food. So you want to make sure that your supplements are hitting the right kind of calcium for you. You have to move. So this is the next thing here. And weight-bearing exercises are key. A lot of people, as we get older, we're like, oh, I'll just do water aerobics because it's nice and it feels good on my joints. The problem with water aerobics is it takes gravity out of the equation. So we have these older women and men who are working out in a pool trying to build up their bone density, and they're actually doing themselves a disservice because they've removed gravity. Just like sending the astronauts up in space, it does no benefit to take away the thing that causes us to put new bone down. So walking is one of the best exercises you can do. Now, Angel, I'm not too concerned. You stand all day. So I imagine your bone density is probably pretty good. So as long as you continue doing that, and we check off some of the other things, you should be good to go. Now, if you work at a desk or a computer all day, these are things that we have to take into consideration. You have to alter your lifestyle to get in that weight-bearing exercise. And even light weights, you don't even need a lot. You can take the big cans of spaghetti sauce or a big bottle of water and just pump iron with that. And that actually is enough to help your body start putting down new healthy bone, which is awesome. But movement is key. The second you sit down, your body stops working the way it's supposed to. You have to get up and move. And then also reducing your medications by having a conversation with your doctor. If you're reading the side effects of your medications and you see the side effects say things like fractures, osteoporosis, they won't say osteoporosis, but they'll say things like bone fractures. This is a sign of something that is leaching calcium out of your body, and it needs to be addressed. If it's a medication you can't go off of, then I would highly recommend making sure that you're supplementing to help your body make up that difference. All right, and here's chiropractic and osteoporosis. So there's a myth out there that people with osteoporosis cannot get adjusted. And the reason I say it's a myth is because it's not true. You guys are fun. So, can you get adjusted with osteoporosis? Absolutely, 100% yes. A informed, educated, and trained chiropractor knows that someone with osteoporosis cannot get adjusted the same way someone without osteoporosis. Because of that high risk of bone fracture, we do not adjust people with osteoporosis the same way. So we have those tools to assist us. We can still move the bone, we can still address it, and it can help the person get healthier, which by then will help them actually get up and move more. So I have another picture of Diane on here, and the reason I put that on here is because Diane sees a chiropractor in New York, thank God. So, because she lives far away from us, we cannot take care of her all the time except for holidays and special occasions. So Diane addressed her diet. She drastically reduced. I don't think she drinks soda at all anymore. She doesn't really drink a lot of coffee. I think she has 1 cup a day. She does the bone complex. She does Zumba. That woman can dance. Oh my goodness. I took a video of her at my brother-in-law's wedding because she was moving. And that's a good weight-bearing exercise to get things going. She also lifts light weights. She's not up there, you know, doing the 500 pounds and squats and stuff like that. But she's taking care of herself. So her life has changed in the fact that changing all the lifestyle habits that were causing her to lose bone density, as well as getting chiropractic adjustments, the adjustments have helped to reduce her pain. And she went from the tool-assisted adjustments to the hands-on adjustments. So now, with the pressure that we apply with the adjustment, it actually causes the body to put more bone down. So I have another patient, point to table 3 because that's the table she goes on when she's here. She was someone, I've been working with her about 2 years now. She started off with osteopenia. We started adjusting her, addressing her diet a little bit. She never went on medications. She was retested 2 weeks ago and her bone density has improved. And it's in part because she's feeling well enough to get up, move, and do those weight-bearing exercises, which is really, really cool. So, absolutely, we can help. And then, yeah, I already said all that. Okay, so what I want you guys to know is that you have the opportunity to take this information and get it out. Like I said, that 90% mortality rate is not okay. I love people too much to know that if someone falls and breaks the hip, there's a chance they're not going to be with us in 2 years. There's a 10% chance they're still going to be with us. That's not okay. So what I'm hopeful you'll do is that you'll actually take this information, go out there and be someone's hero, and actually tell them, hey, stop drinking the soda because it could save your life, quite literally. Hey, take some supplements because it could change the way your body heals. Get up and move. Those are huge things that you can say that can absolutely save someone's life, and I'm sure if they look back on it, they understand the importance of what you're telling them, they're going to thank you for it, and you can actually say, I helped save that person's life because they did not fall, they did not break their hip, and they didn't die 2 years later. That's huge. And then, I just want you all to help us spread love and wellness. Because we love everybody. I want to see people be well. I know that you all want the same thing. So if you know of anyone who is struggling with osteoporosis or they want more information, we're here to get that out. If our office is not the right place for them, that's okay. We'll help them get to the right place. But if you've thought of anyone that you think, you know, they should probably know that doing water aerobics is not a best idea, and you don't think they're going to listen to it from you, maybe they'll hear it from a doctor. So, and if that's all it takes, if they just need to come in and say, hey, you know what, I don't want chiropractic care, but Angel said I shouldn't do water aerobics, is that true? And I can say, yes, that's absolutely true. And they're like, okay, I'm good. Well then, by all means, we saved a life right there. That's someone who's not going to fall and, you know, not be with us in a couple years. So does anyone have any other questions about osteoporosis, about any of the recommendations that I've made this evening? No?
1,200 milligrams of magnesium.
Yes.
Is that,
So-
I take it, but you know, I don't know what foods, other than green leafy vegetables, I don't know what other foods. I can research. But.
Your lean proteins have a lot of magnesium in them as well. So your leaner red meats will get that for you. Some grains, quinoa would be the one I would stick to. I wouldn't do a whole lot of the other ones. But it's mostly like your Brussels sprouts, those dark leafy green vegetables are the highest in magnesium. And you want to take your magnesium and your calcium in a 1-to-1 ratio. So whatever you're taking calcium, you need to meet in magnesium. And a lot of times that's the way they come. They come coupled together because your body needs both. And a lot of companies are smart enough to realize that if you're only taking one, you're going to screw up the other. Because they do work in that type of relationship. So if you're taking a whole lot of calcium and no magnesium, your body's going to find somewhere else to take it from, which might be a vital organ, and they don't want to do that. Well, I hope they don't want to do that to you. So make sure that you are taking them in a 1-to-1 ratio, and that will help across the board. It will help the muscle pain as well as your bone density. So, any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank you all so much for coming out this evening. Our next workshop is the safety bin cycle. This talks about your mind-body connection, so it's a really good one if you want to learn how to enhance that. And the next one after that is arthritis. Don't get rough around the edges. So that is an osteoarthritis type workshop. All right. Thank you all so much.